welcome to the 4th annual Sammy Awards, a celebration of the best and the worst of the worst that this year had to offer in the gaming space. Of course, for the industry overall, this was an absolutely massive year. 2019 was jam-packed with hot AAA titles and small indies that ended up being some massive hits, but as always, we have plenty of categories to dive into today, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the 2019 Sammy Awards. Kicking things off, we have the Rebirth Award, which goes to a remaster that has breathed a new breath of life into a classic game or franchise. Let's go ahead and check out these nominees. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
If you see one of those things, uniform or not, you do not hesitate.
Resident Evil 2.
Whatever it takes to save this city.
Surprised you made it this far.
Need info on my extraction.
World of Warcraft Classic. Halo Reach. This year's Rebirth Award goes to Resident Evil 2 because few games or remakes are able to really reinvigorate an age-old classic in the same way that Resident Evil 2 did, because it maintains that feel, that vibe of the original game that came out way back in the day on the PlayStation 1, but it brings it forward, modernizing it with this technology that we have at our disposal today to create something that is absolutely terrifying, but that does maintain that original feel that the original team wanted to have. So for those reasons and many, many more, Resident Evil 2 is our Rebirth Award winner for 2019. Next up, we have the Indie Game of the Year. Let's check out these nominees. Risk of Rain 2. Cadence of Hyrule. Katana Zero. Untitled Goose Game. This year's Indie of the Year goes to Untitled Goose Game because few games in my memory have been able to really embrace their status as a viral meme and roll with it up until it is a worldwide sensation. Of course, the game was launched on the Nintendo Switch and it became a fast hit, and on top of that, it came to Game Pass later in the year, opening up to a wide variety of new audience members that have fallen in love with the goose that just can't help but terrorize these villagers and ruin their days. For a game that is so incredibly strange, it's amazing to see it getting so much traction in 2019, and for those reasons, the Indie of the Year goes to Untitled Goose Game. Next up, we have the It's a Joke, right? Award going to a game that was so bad, it could truly be considered a joke by many. Let's go ahead and check out these poor nominees. Anthem. Crackdown 3. WWE 2K20. Contra Rogue Corps. Although there were plenty of turds in 2019, there was one that takes the cake, the giant, delicious shit cake, and that simply goes to Anthem, because Anthem was a game that was so highly anticipated that it almost couldn't fail, yet somehow it still did. An unrewarding loot system combined with a couple of broken mechanics, covered unfortunately by a beautiful coat of paint, left this one feeling like it could have been something great, but ultimately didn't have much direction, and it left fans with something to be desired. Now, 2020 could see a resurgence for Anthem. I know that there are plenty of plans to bring it back from the dead, but at the end of the day, it's just not where it needed to be, and it left a ton of people out in the cold. And so with that, we have Anthem as our It's a Joke, right? Award winner for 2019. The Game Changer Award goes to a game that, through creativity and ingenuity, has pushed the boundaries of the medium as a whole. Let's go ahead and check out these nominees. Untitled Goose Game. Death Stranding. Outer Wilds. The Outer Worlds.
Here we go!
This This year's Game Changer Award hands down goes to Death Stranding because I've never played anything quite like this game. In fact, I've never seen anything quite like the experience that Death Stranding offers. At its core, it is pretty much a loot walking simulator where you wander around taking on contracts, carrying things from point A to point B, but the story that drives you forward is amazing. The world is gorgeous. The mechanics are solid. Overall, it's a game that I personally thought that I would hate, but I ended up falling deeply, deeply in love with it, and for that reason, Death Stranding gets my, of course, Game Changer Award for 2019. Shooter of the Year. You know what that one is. Let's go ahead and dive into these nominees.
This is crazy.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Borderlands 3.
Let's go.
Apex Legends.
Run to help you.
Metro Exodus. This is a bit of a controversial category because these games are so different from each other that they have their own independent audiences that might not play the others, but at the same time there is going to be some crossover, and at their core they are all first-person shooters. However, Metro Exodus, a single-player story-driven experience, then you have Apex Legends, a team-based battle royale, then on top of that you have Modern Warfare, which is your standard single-player shooter, and finally Borderlands 3 is a looter shooter. They all have their own independent mechanics, but for me and my personal taste, Modern Warfare is the shooter of the year because I have not been so infatuated with a Call of Duty since probably Black Ops 1 back in 2010. I love Modern Warfare. I think the gunplay is fantastic, the maps are well designed, and overall the way they support the community through free map releases and on top of that minimal microtransaction interference makes Modern Warfare the best Call of Duty in years, and I would highly recommend picking it out. And on top of that, it gets our Shooter of the Year award for the Sammy Awards 2019. And finally, the king is crowned Game of the Year. Let's check out these nominees. Resident Evil 2.
Survival's your responsibility.
God damn it.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Death Stranding. Control. The Sammy Awards 2019 Game of the Year goes to Death Stranding because this is a game that, as I said with the Game Changer Award nomination and reception, is something we've never really seen before. It's something that is very unique, it's something that has soul, it's something that has an experience that can't be gotten in any other kind of way, shape, or form. It is Death Stranding. It is Hideo Kojima's giant masterpiece, the debut of his independence. It is something very, very special. Now, I totally understand why many people are not going to be falling in love with Death Stranding. It is a very complex experience, and it's not for the faint of heart, or those that might just want a standard kind of experience. But for those that are wanting something more, for those that are looking to experiment with what the gaming space can do, Death Stranding is certainly the biggest experiment to date, and I would highly recommend it because it is my Game of the Year for 2019. That concludes this year's Sammy Awards. Of course, in the comments section, let me know what games you think deserve nominations or awards for this year. There were plenty of big titles coming out, and of course, unfortunately, I cannot include everything that deserved an honorable mention on today's show. But 2019 was an incredible year for gaming, and I cannot wait to see what 2020 brings down the pipe. But thank you for watching this year's show. I hope to see you soon, and peace.